Alrighty, hi guys. So we today need to finish off, and this is everything now that is going to be on your exam up until next, everything you need to know up until after half term, and then we're going to start on some new stuff after that. But today we're finishing everything, and the last thing we're looking at is the area of circles and sectors. Now you should remember from a few weeks ago, we looked at the circumference of circles. Okay, circumference meaning that's the circle word for perimeter, and you should remember that circumference, the formula for that is 2 pi r. Okay, so 2 times pi times radius, or you could also use pi times the diameter, pi times d, but I prefer for you to always use 2 pi r. I think that's a better calculation for you to use. Now the area formula is quite closely related to circumference. And for those of you that go on and study maths later on, like if you do A-level maths, you'll learn a bit more about how these are connected. But the area formula, to get to area, what you do is we take that 2 from the front of the 2 pi r and we shift it right up to the end here, and we make that a power of 2 on the end of the radius. So your area formula is pi radius squared. And you can also think about that, remembering the squared means times by itself. So that's pi times r times by r again. So you times by the radius twice, and that gives you the squared value there. Other thing you need to remember is your units for area is units squared. Now that might be centimeters squared, might be meters squared, might be millimeters squared, whatever it is, but it's your units squared. Okay, so we're going to quickly run through this, and I think you guys will find this pretty easy. Can use your calculator, obviously, because we're using pi, and some of these have got decimal places as well. So I would like you to, be working these out as we're going. So if we look at this first circle, the other thing I should mention as well is that you'll notice see how we have two formulas for circumference, pi d and 2 pi r. For area, there is only one. And you must have the radius to be able to work out the area. You cannot use the diameter. And this is why when we do circumference, I really emphasize the fact that I prefer the 2 pi r formula, because I think it's easier once we do area if you're thinking radius for both. Okay, because you cannot use diameter for area. So if we look at this first circle here, we have a radius here. Our radius value is 4.1. Okay, so we can work out our area. Again, when you're doing this, I want you to write down the formula every time. So pi times radius squared. Okay, so that's pi times 4.1 squared, because our radius is 4.1. Now, when you're working this out, you can either type in 4.1 twice, or you can use the squared button on your calculator. Sorry, I'll just get out of this. Okay, clear this. So we should have pi, and you guys should know where to find this on your own calculators. Remember, we did that earlier on in the year. So pi times by 4.1. Now if I use the squared button and hit enter, that gives me 52.81. If I wanted to times this by 4.1 twice, I still get the same answer. Okay, so exactly the same. I'm going to round this to 2 decimal places. So it's 52.81. And I haven't got any units there, so I'm just going to write units squared for area. Alrighty, let's do this next one. So this next one, we've got a radius of 2.3. And if you want to, do this one on your own, pause the video, work it out, and then come back and watch the answer if you like. So area equals pi r squared. So that's pi times by 2.3 squared. And again, I'm going to chuck that in my calculator. Pi, okay, and I get 16. Again, I'm going to do 2 decimal places. So 16.62 centimeters. We'll pretend this is centimeters here, and we can write centimeters squared there. Okay, again, if you wanted to, you could have written that as pi times 2.3 times by 2.3 again, and you'd get the same answer, because what you're doing there is you're squaring, you're multiplying that number by itself. Biggest thing to remember when you're doing this is you're not timesing by 2, you are squaring. You are repeating that radius value twice. Very important. Obviously, if you times it by 2, you'd end up with circumference, which is not what you want. Oh, very nice. Okay, cool. This next one here, now you'll notice for this one, we have a diameter, not a radius, okay? You're given the whole distance across the circle. So you need to, first, we cannot use diameter to work out area. So we cut this line in half, and we know that if the whole thing is 12, that means that the radius is halfway across. So that's 12 divided by 2, so that's 6. So we've got a distance of 6 from the, I'm just going to pretend that's the middle there, from the middle to that end part, and we've got another 6 from the middle to the other end. Now when we work out the area, we've got pi times r squared, always write the formula. So pi times 6 squared, okay, so we can type that in, pi times 6 squared, okay, and that gives me 113.10 if I round that to 2 decimal places. So 113.10 and then centimeters squared again, all right, or units squared, whatever you want to write. This one, now let's pretend this is in meters. And you'll notice that we don't have a full circle here, but the strategy that you use when doing the area is quite similar to what you do when you're working out the perimeter of the sector. So again, I want you to pretend that you are, oh, and sorry, I should also add in here that we should have a right angle in there too. Okay, so we're missing 90 degrees out of that circle. So when we're working this out, I want you to pretend that you're working out the area of the whole circle. So the area of the full circle, I'm just going to write that in here, of the full circle. So if we pretended that that was closed up, okay, then our area would be pi times 5.6 squared. All right, lovely, which is 98.52. Okay, meters squared. Now that would be if it was a full circle. Now it's not. We're just wanting to work out this blue area here. And we know that if we split up this circle, okay, we could divide this all into equal pieces, and all together we would have 4 pieces. So here we've got a quarter, here we've got another quarter, here we have another quarter. So our area of the sector is our area of the whole circle, 98.52, times by how much we have there, which is 3/4 of the circle. So we can multiply that by 3/4, and again, you guys can do this on your calculators, absolutely fine. Feel free to use the fraction button. Press enter. So that's 73.89 meters squared. Okay, that's 3/4 of our circle. Now, when we were doing perimeter of sectors, we had to add on 5.6 and 5.6 again, and that's because when you're doing perimeter, you're going around the edge of your circle. So when you do the curved bit, you work out your 3/4, and that tells you that 3/4 distance to there. Then you would need to add on 5.6 and another lot of 5.6 to go back to the starting point. That's what you're doing when you're finding the perimeter. With the area, we're interested in what's inside the circle. So we've worked out 3/4 of what's inside the circle. Okay, so just pretend that I'm colouring this in really nicely. So 3/4, everything inside the circle. Okay, so that would be our 73 in there, all of this. Sorry, I hate it when there's like little bits that aren't done. I just need to fix it, otherwise my anxiety will start sticking in, and then it'd be horrible for everyone. Okay, so we worked out everything inside. Now we don't have to add anything onto this because that tells us all of the inside. We found that out, that's fine. There's nothing that you need to add on. The only reason why you add on those extra parts is because you're doing the distance around the outside. And we've done the curve bit, and then you add on the 2 straight parts. But for area, there's nothing left over. Once you've multiplied it by the fraction, that's it, that's enough, no more. All right. Coolio. Well, that's area of sectors and circles. Have a go at the worksheet, and that's it for today. Lovely. Thanks, guys.